Mic check 1 2 1 2. The Prince of Fresh Air is coming to you. If you like that, you'll like this even more. Welcome to the most overrated, underappreciated, most viewed, underviewed podcast of all time. Welcome to the Prince of Fresh Air. Of course, I'm your host, the most charismatic man in entertainment. Now, before I bring on my next guest, this will all tie into his introduction. I had a lot of famous people hit me up, a lot of famous DJs. I had Zed hit me up, Diplo, Calvin Harris. They all like, hey, when am I going to be invited on the podcast? I said, wait, I got somebody else coming on first. Now, who's my guest? Who's my guest today? Well, he's no slouch in the DJ industry. Let me give you a breakdown of the tape, if you will. He is an accomplished DJ on the East Coast, New Jersey, New York. He's killing it. He's making a name for himself. He has made a name for himself. He's appeared on Netflix before me, so I'm gonna have to have some words with him. He's headlined major venues such as the Wicked Wolf and Harrah's headliner. On Fridays, you could catch him on Power 98.5 satellite radio. And on Saturdays, if you missed that, you could catch him on the Indie 101.5 FM. Please help me introduce Ryan Dyer, a.k.a. DJ High Def.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Percy, man. I'm looking forward to this.
I appreciate it. Like I said, I mentioned a lot of famous DJs, but let's talk about you because you're no slouch. Like I said, you have been doing this for a long time. And, there's a couple of things I want to talk about. But first, let's talk about how you got started, because a lot of people don't understand or really know how DJs actually get involved. People always think about the musicians, the producing and stuff. So for you, how did you start your journey in this?
Listen, music has always been a big part of my life in terms of like, even when I was younger, elementary school, I was raised in the church, but I always loved when the band was on. I'd be hitting the tambourine. I know it doesn't do anything, but I wanted to follow that beat, and it always excited me, and I learned some instruments along the way, the saxophone, the piano, through middle school and stuff. But I was an athlete too, so I was always active. Back, when I grew up, we didn't have cell phones that we were just looking at all day. We were active, we were out on the streets. So music kind of fell off a little bit in, I'd say middle school to high school, because I was more active. I was doing the sports. I was, pretty decent athlete, so I enjoyed sports as well. Music came back into my life when I got to college. I went through a hard time in my life where I left college, came home, and one of my best friends wound up buying a set of DJ equipment. And he had it at his apartment. I wound up pretty much living on his couch for an entire summer, downloading music, LimeWire and all that good stuff back in the day, burning CDs. And then we wound up just doing one of my best friends at the time's high school graduation. And we had people come up, say, hey, how much you guys charge? You guys do parties? And I'm like, I do now, I do now. And then I knew I wasn't turning back from that. I knew that DJing would be a part of my life. From that point, I knew what I wanted to do and what I wanted to succeed at. And it all started there.
Now, so did you go to school for like music, anything, or was that just something like a hobby?
No, it was a hobby. I went to school. Honestly, I went to school to play sports. I went to school. I never thought I'd be a desk person, or I was never the best at school. I had to work hard. You know what I mean? To get, B's and C's, so I wasn't, really, college was more of it was to learn, obviously, and grow. But it wasn't because for music, it was for sports. Like I said, I was active back then, and that's what it was for.
So let's get into your journey, right? Because like I mentioned on the top of the show that I mentioned Diplo, Calvin Harris, Zed. The list goes on and on. Marshmello. People often see the success, right? And for you, you've been on Netflix. You're doing your radio shows. You're headlining major venues. how did you get to that point? Because for a lot of people, you know, DJ work is not exactly the most like well-known avenue, meaning like how do you find your groove and get to that point? So you how was that journey? Did you have to start off like doing like just local, you know, parties and stuff?
A lot of grinding. I mean, I started in my school pubs, and then started. It's all networking. It's networking, and then them hearing you, and hopefully those people you're networking like what you're doing, and then they hopefully keep you along and keep you around. DJing starting off for anybody is going to be tough, man. It's going to be a grind. It's going to be hard. You better be able to face rejection. After college, I still didn't think. Like me personally, I didn't think I was good enough to go put myself in a club or something like that was high profile, because I was very hard on myself DJ wise. And to me, your first impression is the biggest one. So I didn't want to go in somewhere being like, oh, he ain't that good. What's he trying to do here? I wound up getting into the strip clubs in the beginning of my career, where you're working for 7 hours a day. And you're working, I worked on it, you know what I mean? Like they're long shifts, and it actually helped me. I hate to say, like, it helped me with speaking. It helped me with emceeing, because you're always talking on a mic there. You know what I mean? It's always nonstop. But for me, it was a lot of repetition. It was a lot of changing music. It was a lot of learning the craft. You know what I mean? Until I got better at it and was able to, venture off. But for anybody coming up, it's meeting people, it's networking. Right now, I hate that I have to say this. Mm-hmm. It's almost more networking than it is your skill. If you network and they like you, and you at least do you don't kill the club, you know what I mean? Where you just stink. You might be there and keep getting work. So that's the one, the unfortunate side, in my opinion, of the business is at a lot of places right now, it's not the best DJs that are in them. It's the relationships they might have with the owners, the promoters, the DJ group that might run those clubs or those bars, where they're just feeding their guys, which listen, I give a lot of those guys credit as well, because they work hard to get there. They worked hard to be able to book those other DJs, you know what I mean? And make that money however they make it. But it's not an easy business to stay in. It's not an easy, business to, listen, a lot of my friends and a lot of DJs have other jobs. They have second jobs. You know what I mean? It's not like they're not supporting what they want just by DJing. Now you can make, now me personally, I make 2 really good livings. I feel like I have 2 full-time jobs, because I have a regular full-time job. I work, Monday through Friday, and I work just as much, pretty much DJing as well. But I've been fortunate enough to be doing it for as long as I have, where, I've established, myself. So.
Right. That's beautifully said. And I think that's the important part. And one of the things I like to, when I have people who are successful in their own right, I like to ask them how they start, because oftentimes people forget in order to get to that level, you have to start somewhere, right? So for you, DJing is kind of like acting and comedy. It's a lot of long nights. It's a lot of night stuff. So you have to be prepared. For you, when you started getting up and getting those repetitions, was learning to work at night something you had to learn, or was that just something that you knew came with the job?
You have to learn a lot of things. Working at night, not so much, just because, when I started, I was young, night person, you know what I mean? You're out, you're doing that stuff. So that didn't really bother me. It was more along the lines learning that you're a DJ. You don't have workman's comp. You don't get 2 weeks notices. If you're working a night and they call you up and say you're not working tonight, unless you're a big time DJ and you have these contracts, you know what I mean, which is different, but for most DJs, they don't have contracts. You know what I mean? It's your schedule to work that night. And if they want to tell you, oh, we double booked you, or we double booked, or guess what? We don't want you to come in tonight. We heard something, whatever it is. They don't have to pay you. you're not getting paid that night. You're just not showing up to work.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of that, you know what I mean? So it's tough, man. It's really tough.
Yeah. So how do you, especially when you're starting out, right? You have to buy the equipment. I know this all too well being an actor. You have to, invest in your career. You have to buy the equipment. You have to make sure everything is up to date. You make sure that financially and, business wise, you're marketable. So, when you're starting out and you're grinding, you put in the work, how much time do you feel like is really more dedicated and just putting the boots to the ground than is actually DJing? Because like you said, it's all about the connections, right?
It's oh man, it's hours on both ends. You know what I mean? You want to know the music, you want to be good at your craft. I mean, it's a little easier now getting music and doing that part. You know what I mean? But you still got to listen to music, you still got to download music, and you still got to, try to create something different for yourself. You know what I mean? To stand out, like whether it's different mixes of the same songs, but it's different. But the hours, man, I mean, it's tough. Like, you have to find time to go visit these night spots. You might be working every Friday and Saturday, but sometimes you got to like maybe eat a night and go out and shake hands, you know what I mean? And meet people and spend those hours networking. I'm telling you, I personally didn't do that as much as I probably should have along my entire career. Now, I don't regret anything of how I've handled my life and my DJ career. I'm very, very happy. I've done very well. But I think maybe I might have progressed a little bit quicker if I was out more meeting some of these owners and some of these people, because especially in New Jersey, a lot of the owners are the same owners. They're buying different places, or you know what I mean? They're, they get rid of this one and buy a different one in a different town. But it's still the hot club or the place you want to go to, so those relationships, I would say, it's going out, it's, grabbing a couple drinks with these guys or meeting the DJs and just networking. That's a lot of time. But I know I said a lot of it's networking, but you still got to be good. You know what I mean? Like nowadays, everyone's a DJ.
Yeah, true.
There's a lot of DJs. Their DJs are real estate agents now. You know what I mean? Like there's just a lot of them. So
Yeah.
you do have to stand out a little bit now and be good as well as networking. So it does, you do have to put in the hours.
No, you're right. And that's funny you mentioned that, because when I was in college, I actually had had a segment on my college's radio station, 98.5 The Buzz. And I went as DJ Long Walks on the Beach. And I thought I was a DJ at the time because I didn't know what DJ was. I just thought it was someone who knew how to control music, make sure everybody's having a good time. So I do want to ask you, let's take the gloves off and have some fun with this. Yeah. Because how would you describe DJing? Because most people, when they think of DJ, they think about, the house party with the family. They're like, hey, throw on some music, and you just put it on your phone, put on the hottest tracks, and you call it a day. DJing is, especially in your industry, is much more than that. So for the average person who don't know what DJing is, could you just, briefly explain to them what the process is?
Well, it's one, to be a good DJ, I believe you have to read the crowd. That's number one. You know what I mean? You have to read the crowd that you're playing to and know what kind of music that they want to rock out to. It's DJing is blending in songs. So the people that are dancing don't know the song even blended. They're just going with the same beat and the same move, where we're listening for beats, we're listening for sounds, so we could try to blend it in as best as possible with whatever tricks, whether we're echoing, we got buttons where we could echo out songs and help that transition, but we want to keep the dance floor moving. We want to keep you moving with the same beat. So, but we also have to know what songs are hot, what songs you like, whether it's a old school hip hop place or it's a new school beat, you know what I mean? Or whether they want more poppy music, or hey, throw some EDM tech house on and let's rock out all night long. I think a lot of DJs come in and want to just blow the roof off of the place that they're playing at. A lot of DJs don't take into consideration that, we want the party to go up and a little down and then back up and then a
Right.
little down and then blow them out the water. There's levels to it where you want to keep everyone moving, but you're not trying to, beat and kill them from the jump. You know what I mean? There's journeys that we're supposed to be taking these people on, that at the end of the night, they're like, that was different. That
Yeah.
was special.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's multi-layered in that, right? And for me, I kind of look at it that way too, because I'm not a DJ. So for me, when I'm just doing it, I'm putting on my phone, you always start off with the bangers, whether it's Not Like Us by Kendrick or whatever, you start off with the bangers, right? But like you said, you have to know the crowd, because if you're doing a 3, 4, 5 hour set, you can't start everybody off strong. And, because eventually people going to get tired, fatigue's going to set in, and then the adrenaline dumps. So for you, is it, how do you go about the song choice? Is that something you and the promoters go through, or is it your own choice? Like, how does that work?
I mean, it's definitely my own choice, unless the place is like, don't play dance music tonight or don't play hip hop tonight. You know what I mean? Other than that, that's, if it's an open format party or something like that, the music is my choice. I've never been in a situation where they've tried telling me really what to play. Like, you need to play these songs here. That, that was private parties. I used to do that, a long time ago. I stopped doing that because I love walking into the parties and doing what I do now. That might be later on in the career. I might get back to that. But right now, doing the DJ thing at these clubs and parties, there's nothing like it.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you, what is the, because for some people, it's like me explaining to acting. It's different when you do a student film to doing a Marvel film, right? There's a lot more things happening. So for you to go from, let's say, a corporate, party, for instance, to now you're at the hottest nightclub in New York City or New Jersey, what is the difference? And does that play a big difference in your preparation too?
Oh yeah. One, I literally I have a folder for every party I do. And I have like 4 or 5 different directions I might want to go for that party. I might get to the party and scrap all of it and say, wait, none of that's going to work, so every party is different. And I take it differently, and I do, like I said, I make separate folders. Like, all right, if I want to go this way. So it's prepping for every party differently, trying to know what you're getting yourself into. And usually if you know what club you're going to, what you're probably going to play, or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have song after song after song. It's always different each night,
Right.
But I do my research. I'm spending hours before each club night, going through stuff on what to play or what I want to play. But it depends on what people show up that night.
Yeah. Now, I think one of the biggest things that don't really get talked about is the preparation, right? Because people see the final result, they see you on stage, you're jumping, you're rocking, you're having a good time. But before you get to that point, you have to, be prepared. So for you, you don't have to give any secrets or whatever you do, but what is the preparation like for a DJ, especially one that's at that level you are, where you're not just showing up, at a local party, you're doing real serious, stuff.
My preparation is every day. I hate to say, and I hope other people, other DJs too, that are trying to be good are saying the same thing. Even though I work a full-time job, I come home every night and I'm doing something DJ wise, whether, practicing in, scratching, or try to be better at that, or I'm practicing mixing, or I'm practicing trying to do this hip hop chorus with this hip hop chorus with this hip hop chorus without, you're practicing, you're doing that stuff, or I'm downloading new music, which takes, people don't understand, to still, you just click a button and it downloads, but you're still looking, you want to make sure you're downloading the right song. You're listening to in a whole entire song, because certain remixes or mixes might be good for the first half, but they suck for the second half because it ain't, you know what I mean? So there's just, so you're doing that. I'm also, I personally, I'm, taking classes on making new music and different genres and different ways to do all that as well. So it's always a progression. It's always learning. I spend at least 3 hours every night doing DJ stuff at a minimum.
Wow.
Besides working, besides the like Saturday, I don't work my day job, so I probably relax most of the day, or me and my girlfriend go do something. But at least 3 hours before the night, wherever I'm at, I'm at my computer for another couple hours figuring stuff out.
Do you have any like rituals or anything before you get on stage? Maybe I know a comedian. I know it's not DJ, but a comedian. What he would do with Ari Spears, he would say before he get on stage, he just go in the crowd, just look, observe, see what the energy is like, seeing what other people are doing. So it keeps him, balanced. For you, do you have any like rituals or something to keep you ready when you hit the stage?
On my way to every club, I listen to actually like more mellow type music, like Teddy Swims, light Post Malone, even some, Rascal Flatts or some slow jams. You know what I mean? Like I keep the groove. When I get to a place, it depends. If I'm just starting and doing a whole night somewhere, I'm just, saying a little prayer to myself and getting it going. But if it's a place like where I work in summertime, like Jenkinson's or something like that, where there's already a crowd and they're already moving, I'll I listen to my music. I get there, I say my prayer, and I'm watching out to the crowd and trying to see as much as I can learn right there. I mean, most DJs probably after the third or fourth song, they probably know it. Most DJs probably know which way they want to go for the rest of the night.
Right. Now, let me ask you, because I think part of everybody's journey, right? At some point, you have to be realistic and understand that these businesses, these industries, it costs money to do it, right? I know firsthand how much acting is not cheap. For you, with the equipment and everything, I think one of the biggest misconceptions about DJ work, at least for me, would be I always thought whenever you do something, unless you're like, the real big top names, that everybody provides you your own equipment. So that's not true, right?
No, that is not. I mean, listen, at some big time, obviously at the bigger clubs and bigger stuff like that, they have their mixers and speakers and all that stuff. A lot of starting out DJs or a lot of people grinding, they need a controller. Right? Some of these places, like they have speakers, but you might have to bring your controller and set that up with obviously your computer, or whether, a lot of people use flash drives, depending on which way I use a computer. So I bring my computer. I'll say this with equipment and DJ equipment. I'll say this most of the time, if you buy the proper stuff, it might be expensive, but it will last if you take care of it. Okay. So it will make you a lot more money than what you're spending on it if you take care of it. Okay. You know what I mean? So, my computer's $5,000, but I've made a lot more money from this computer than if I had a different one. You know what I mean? And also I trust my computer. You know what I mean? I trust that when I get to a job, it ain't going to fry on me. I'm not going to get, whatever, a fire, something, a bug on my computer. You know what I mean? Because I have the firmware, I have an Apple Mac, you know what I mean? And I haven't had those issues. So it's a lot of money, but in the end, if you're serious about it, it's going to make you a hell of a lot more money if you have the right equipment. You could do more stuff with the better equipment. You could do, you can learn more with the better equipment. It's easier for you to transition. It's easier for you to make sounds or put something in your routine that's different than others.
Yeah. This is a fascinating thing for me because DJ, I'm not really well versed in that. And I did go to college with one guy. He's not anybody famous or anything, but I saw even for him on Instagram, him doing his DJ stuff. It's blowing up and people, tuning in. And it's cool to see how you can, make transitions and, blend a song together, right? So let me ask you, Because oftentimes we often hear people, especially when it comes to the entertainment industry, oh, that's easy work. I could do that in my sleep. DJing, like no problem. For you, what would you say to people that said DJ work is easy and it really don't require much, but besides a couple, laptops and some equipment?
I mean, I think I'm gonna take the high road and just say, I mean, everybody's got their own opinions. I mean, if they think it's that easy, then come on, man. Come on
Yeah,
down, come have some fun with us. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And make that money right away. Maybe for some people, listen, I'm sure for some people DJing, they catch on and they can learn and make music and jump right off.
right,
You know, I get, but that's 2%. That's 3%. The rest of the guys are gonna be working and grinding and having to. But if listen, yeah, if you sat at home for 6 months and grinded for 7 hours a day, can you be a good DJ? Yeah, I think so. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, but you got to be grinding every day and learning and doing that. Do I think you could pick it up and someone can learn? Yeah, I don't think all people could do that, but I do think, yeah. I mean, if they people that think it's easy, I just come do it with us. You know what I mean? I mean, listen, a lot of these celebrities that think they're DJing and doing it. I've seen a lot of them because I've worked with them. They just press the button. They got a CD, they're pressing play, and they're acting like they're doing stuff. They're not DJing. So they make it look like it's easy. Oh, I'm gonna come DJ. No, they're being paid because of their name.
right.
You know what I mean? And the professional DJ they hired to make them a mix. So that's it. But yeah, so I mean, to each his own. I say good for them, and come on, let's have some fun together.
Yeah, talk about let's having some fun together. Any, before we get to the high points of your career, but I think it's always fun to always revisit the past, right? And just reflect on how you got to where you are, right? So when you started out, is there any any funny stories about maybe you botched the transition or you're on stage, your equipment blew out, or any like funny hiccups that you had to go through and smooth out?
No, I'd say the worst feeling I got when I was about to DJ was New Year's Eve. It was at Harrah's pool, and out of nowhere, my computer just wouldn't work with their equipment. We had their sound guy. And you're talking New Year's Eve. This is not just even a regular Friday or Saturday night at a good club. This is one of the top 10 clubs at the time in the entire country. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you're sitting there like sweating your brains out, because you're like, why this works everywhere. I just worked here 2 weeks ago. Everything worked. Why is this not? And we wound up not even starting for 20 minutes. They wound up having to put on a mix. Thank God the sound guy had something to put on, but it was like not something you're putting on in the beginning of a night, New Year's Eve, but it was music, right? So I wound up getting it to go 20 minutes into it. We found out it was so simple. For some reason, the Serato, I was logged out of it as my profile, and it wouldn't let the Serato work without me being logged in, which that never happened before. You know what I mean? And you could use it without being logged in. So we don't know why that happened at that time. Thank God I, for some reason, looked at that button. So I was logged out, logged in, and then it worked. And then the night obviously went smooth after that. But that was one that I'll never forget. It was very, very stressful. In the beginning, a lot of stuff in the beginning of my career is, music not coming out of speakers or something. And you're like, wait, what even could this be? And then you're trying to backtrack. But I'll tell you, that's how I learned a lot. That's how I learned a lot DJing, because that never happened again. You know what I mean? I figured it out, thank God, every time. But there's a lot of hiccups that you get, but I learned from every one of them.
Yeah. I think it's beautiful, right? Because I think these type of mistakes, especially early on, help define you. So when you're at that level, you're ready. But I'm curious about this because when it comes to acting, right? If you mess up a line or two or whatever, it's fine. You can smooth it over, continue on. As a DJ, I wonder, like, when you make those type of mistakes, let's say the stereo blows out, your laptop fries or whatever, are you more worried about not getting paid, or are you more worried about losing that connection that you would have had with the promoter, the people who own the place?
I mean, that's a great question. I would be more, if it happened to me, I'd be more worried about losing the connection. Because especially depending where you're at, like you need to try, you need to bring a backup. You need to figure it out. To me, unfortunately, to me, those things are like unacceptable in our industry. You know what I mean? Because that's an entire night at a club or at a place that now maybe doesn't have music or doesn't have entertainment. You know, I consider us, just like I know you keep saying, you know, actors and stuff like that. I consider myself an actor in the regards as we're entertainers. We're people that, you know, I spoke earlier about stuff, things that I worried about was missing stuff, was missing holidays, missing birthdays. Like they didn't prepare us for missing. We miss that stuff because if we don't show up to work, we lose that job. You know what I mean? Like if you're booked somewhere and you're like, nah, I got my mom's birthday, I'm gonna go to. If someone goes in and does a better job than you, they might be cheaper than you. You're gone. You're gone. You don't get those 2 weeks. So it's definitely the connection, because you can't lose that, you know, in our industry. Because like I said, it's, you know, you're in one day and out the next.
Yeah, it's hard. I think a lot of people, and you know, for me, I appreciate anybody in the entertainment industry because it's hard. It's a grind, and I think if you're not involved, whether you're DJing, acting, whatever, this all entertainment, it's all gig work, if you will. You're not employed by anybody unless you're one of the lucky few.
Right.
So you have to maintain a certain level of professionalism. So even if it's not your mistake, you know, that the speaker at the club blew out, they're gonna look at you like, yo, you should have been prepared. So I'm curious, you know, if you could look back at your future, at your past self, and the things that you've learned then and now, what are some things outside of maybe just let's say networking? Maybe it could be, you know, show up to the venue a little early to make sure everything is working. Make sure my equipment works with the interface and stuff. Is there anything along the way that you look back at now that you would have loved to know back then when you first started?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, one main thing was drinking at these places. You know, was knowing where my limit was. You know, and sometimes, you know, especially when you're younger, I know it happened to me a couple of times too, where I didn't know my limit. You know, I had friends or I had a lot of people at the venue. And I thought, you know, I was, you know, look at me. I got, you know, 50 people here. We're having a great time. But I didn't realize, you know, I needed to remember I was there working. You know, it was my job. You know, I was there for, you know, to entertain everybody, not just the people that came for me. And I forgot that, you know, that night, you know what I'm saying? So there's definitely things that, you know, that I've learned, obviously, just even with that, you know, there's a certain amount of professionalism that you need to bring to every job, you know, in my opinion. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some DJs that I know that their persona and who they are is partying, is being that guy, being wild. But to me, you know, they can only get certain jobs. You know what I mean? They're not going to, you know, they might have a lot of people that love that. There might be certain owners that, yes, that's the guy I need and want him, that energy level and but you're not going to, you know, that's going to deter a lot of other people from stuff. So the way I always been is try to be, especially after the ways that I've learned, is to be as professional as possible. Like, you know your limits. I don't drink really all that often at all anymore. It's very few, but I used to take a couple shots before every job because I needed to. I needed to loosen up. You know what I mean? I needed to be like, oh, all right. Because up until, I'll be honest, up until even a couple of years ago, I was nervous before every job I had. Everyone. Because these are people's nights that you want them to go out of there with smiles, like, damn, they made me forget everything that was going on in my life. Like, I'm happy now. Like, that was a great night. Like I said, creating journeys and creating experiences for everybody. So,
yeah, that's beautifully said. I think one of the best things about what you do, right, is the fact that you're getting to work with, you know, a lot of people in multiple different spaces, because nightlife brings out the celebrities, brings out the average person, and brings out promoters, brings out everybody. For you, is there any people that you've worked with that you know would love to work with again, or maybe you haven't had a chance to work with that you will want to work with?
oh man, I mean, that's a really good question. I'll tell you one person that's actually from Jersey. His name is DJ 4B. He's a pretty well-known DJ. He's been on with a lot of very, very professional DJs. And when I tell you I worked a party with him, I've never seen anything like it. Like the amount of people, the energy, it was like everybody hasn't partied in over 3 years, and this is the first time they've seen the light of day. Like, I'm telling you, I was just that was like one of the things, like, where I was looking out at this crowd, and I was emceeing and DJing before, and I'm like, holy crap, like this might be the best party I've ever been to in my life, like, period. You know what I mean? Like I had chills just looking at the crowd, and I'm like, this ain't even me, and I got chills. So I wouldn't mind working with him and rocking a party like that again. I would love to rock a party with Shaq, with DJ Diesel. He just seems like a fun dude, fun guy. You know, and obviously all the other DJs out there, man. You know.
That's wonderful. Yeah, you know, I think what you do is very underappreciated, right? Like I said, when it comes to nightlife, a lot of people always look at more of the front entertainment, right? They look at the rappers, the musicians, the dancers, or whatever the case may be. But there is a case, and I've mentioned names before: Calvin Harris, Zed, Skrillex. What makes them so popular in the DJ space? Is it because they are able to kind of finesse their way around the music industry, or do you think that they just allow their brand to you know rise to popularity?
I feel like most of those guys just put in the work. You know, they put in the work to learn and to make the music. A lot of those guys make music. Okay, it's making great tracks. It's knowing, like, just an example with Tiesto. It's you know, he's been doing it for 25, 30 years, maybe even longer, and he's still one of the best DJs in the world because he transitioned with the times. He learned, you know what I mean? He didn't just stay in his one lane, you know what I mean? So I believe all of those guys, they're where they're at because, you know, they put that time in when either they were younger, you know what I mean? Because a lot of time DJs do start younger now, you know what I mean? They're starting at 5, they're starting at 6. Like, instead of sports, some of these guys, they're teaching their kids, which is awesome. I love it. So you're getting a lot more talented people. You know, I've seen a lot of James Hype's stuff, which how hard he worked and how his mind works. He's also, in my opinion, a freaking genius. You know what I mean? Where his mind works differently than other people, where he created, now other people are following his lead, but he created this whole, like, I want to say genre, but not really genre, like, but way of DJ. You know what I mean? Right. His techniques and his and the way he mashes 4 songs together, and it's just, you know, they put the work in. That's why they are where they are, and I give them all the credit in the world. You know what I mean? They put their time in. They put that time in. You know, there might be like I said, there might be 1 or 2 of them out there that was like, hey, let me DJ. They were just smart with music. They started making good beats, and they're like famous. there's probably a couple of those out there, but I'm telling you, most of these guys, they put that work in.
Yeah. So let me have some fun with you. All right. I'm gonna
Yeah.
put you on the spot. All right.
Yeah,
Let's do this.
yeah.
So I got a list of some of the famous disc jockeys, if you will. Right. So I'm gonna just give you two. I'm gonna give you two names, and you choose which one you prefer. Again, this is not setting you up anything, just for fun. Right.
Yeah.
Are you ready to do this?
Yes, sir.
All right. Denmark 5 or Skrillex?
I'll go Skrillex.
Ooh. Okay. All right. David Guetta or Diplo?
David Guetta.
David Guetta. All right. How about David Guetta and Calvin Harris?
Probably David Guetta.
Ooh, okay, David. All right.
I've watched the reason I'm a little biased with David Guetta. I've watched a lot of his making of music and a lot of his story. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
I'm a fan. You know what I mean? I'm a fan of his remixes and stuff. So that's why David Guetta. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love David Guetta. I think all of the names I mentioned so far are amazing, but
they're all great. I love them all. Don't get me wrong.
All right, got another one for you. All right, Marshmello or Afrojack?
Afrojack.
Afrojack, okay. I'm not too familiar with his work. I do know of him. I gotta read him. I gotta watch up on him a little more. But Afrojack, as far as I'm aware, is an amazing. So let's go with that. All right, Zed or Black Coffee?
I mean, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I really like Black Coffee's beats. I love that groove that he has. I think I might have to stick with Black Coffee.
Black Coffee, not a bad choice. All right, just a couple more.
Yeah.
Carnage or DJ Snake?
I like Snake.
Interesting.
I like
All
DJ
right.
Snake. I have a lot of his music. I play a lot. Like a lot of his stuff hits hard at the clubs. I like him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's another fun. A lot of these guys are amazing what they do. All right, so let's do Benny Benassi and Mike Williams.
Probably Benny. I grew up with Benny.
Benny.
I grew up with him. I'm dating myself a little bit there, but yeah, I used to listen to a lot of Benny Benassi, man.
I'm gonna give you the tiebreaker right here. This is the money shot right here. All right.
Yes, sir.
Black Coffee or David Guetta?
Oh, it's like two different vibes. It's like completely two different vibes. I mean, if I was at a big festival, I'd probably want David Guetta. If I was in a more intimate club setting, like just like I don't know, a couple hundred people and kind of like a, groove setting, probably Black Coffee.
Okay. All right. So out of all of the choice I made, if you were, let's say, getting ready to prepare for your DJ set, who are you most likely to put on, maybe to hype you up or maybe to get you in the groove?
David Guetta, definitely.
David Guetta, he makes him Zed
just because remixes and all the songs that he's remade that I love. You know what I mean? So that I sang to when they weren't with his beat behind it. You know what I mean? So he's great at what he does. Yeah,
I think for me, all right, so let's do this. What is your top three? I'll give my top three. All right. I got Skrillex on there. I love he has amazing beats. I gotta give it up to Zed. And I think I'm gonna do David Guetta. I'll throw him on there. How about you?
I would mix in James Hype. Would be probably my top one, to be honest with you right now. Then it would probably be David. I can't. I probably have to say Black Coffee after that.
Oh, okay. All right.
Or Zed. Zed's up there too.
Yeah, I'm getting you hot water with the DJ community. All right.
Yeah,
So
right.
don't blame me. Hey man, I wish you, regardless of these answers, I think that everybody in their own right is amazing. Everybody's gonna have their followings, everybody got their style and flavor. So, Marshmallow is one guy I don't know too well, but I just know him because of the public persona. So you could go either way, whatever floats your boat. So, let me ask you, for you, do you have anything exciting coming up? Anything that you're working on that you want to share?
I mean, there's always something going on, to be honest with you. Which most people you could find me DJ High Def on the Instagram. It's DJ High Def, just as it says on the screen. Which I give out all my information and stuff. I got a couple weekends booked out in Rhode Island in the next couple months, and then we're just planning some other stuff and booking some stuff. I'll be out in North Carolina, I believe, either April or May. And then everything we got going on now, still, all the local stuff.
Yeah. Oh, before you go, let me ask you, because as someone who's lived on both coasts, East Side and West Side, the music scene and everything is vastly different, right? And I mentioned before, you're one of the top East Coast DJs. For you, are you ever thinking about maybe exploring over on the West Coast, or you rather just stick to this area and just focus on that?
No, man, I'm all about traveling. I'm all about going everywhere to DJ, literally everywhere and anywhere. Hey, if you got any contacts out there, Percy, let me know.
Gotcha.
But no, yeah, that's it, and that's really what it is. It's networking and knowing the people, and getting out to other places. No, I'd love to come out to the West Coast. I was supposed to come out this season, but something happened with the promoter out there at one of the actually a couple clubs out there, so that didn't pan out. But yeah, we're looking to travel everywhere.
All right. Now, let's wrap this up on a high note. You've been doing it all, like I said, Netflix. You're on the radio. You're doing your thing. You have a career, and you're blossoming, making a lot of splashes, and financially doing well. But for you, is there any goal you have in mind? Maybe 5 years from now, would you want your own, residency on Vegas, or like anything in general? Do you have like anything you want to accomplish?
I mean, I always have goals. I've been fortunate enough to reach a lot of goals that I never thought I would. But that doesn't stop. It doesn't stop there, then there's another goal and another goal. Right now, yes. Like I said before, I'm learning more and more about making music and stuff. So yeah, I never really, like 5 years from now, a residency in Las Vegas. Yeah, absolutely. But it's not about Las Vegas. It's about being able to travel the world, or travel, all over the place to DJ and bring this entertainment that I bring, the unique entertainment that I know I bring, between the DJ and the MC skills and the stuff that I do each night when I DJ and work. So my goals never stop. It's always to be bigger. It's to make more money, be at different places, as many places as humanly possible, and keep putting smiles on people's faces. That's literally, I've always wanted to, keep people happy and keep people smiling my entire life. You know what I mean? Helping people. Our whole family helps people all the time, which is a story for other days. But so just putting smiles on people's faces, man, is the goal every night. But yeah, it's to be bigger. It's to have my own tracks out there and stuff of that nature.
Perfect. That's what I'm talking about. And I should have said this, at the top of the show, but let me say this. A helping hand is a better hand, and that's not just a quote, it's a slogan. And that is important too, because I do want to give a quick shout out and thoughts and prayers to LA. I know with the fires, a lot of people lost their homes, their livelihood. And some of my own friends out there are affected. So please, whatever you can, whether you're able to donate or maybe share some links to help people in support and need, please do as much you can, because we never know when we could be in that situation. So I'm gonna take us out, but I'm gonna have DJ High Def take us out too. So let me mic check 1 2 1 2. The Prince of Fresh Air and DJ High Def is coming for you. I'll leave you with the last word.
Yeah, well, Percy, first off, thank you, man. Thank you for having me. This was a great time. Hey, you guys were rocking with the Prince of Fresh Air, Percy, and DJ High Def. We love y'all, man.